This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and MM Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
All right, good morning and welcome to another edition of the Sports Wrap Show. I'm Ralph Williams along with Scott Morganroth. Leo Haggerty will be joining us shortly. We had a little issue with the invite. I'm getting it out to him right now, and Leo will be joining us shortly. So just to let everyone know on that one, it's the three of us today. We didn't invite anyone on the show. So I hope everybody enjoys the show. And we have a lot to talk about today, including the NFL draft, some surprising moves and some different things that have gone on today that just simply, we're really in some just a bunch of different stuff that has gone on. Shedeur Sanders still sitting out there. It's amazing how this has happened. We're going to talk about Steve McMichael, and I want to talk something about Derek Harmon, who is the Steelers' #1 draft pick. His mother passed away right after he notified her that he was drafted by the Steelers. She passed away soon after that. And I want to send my condolences to the family of Derek Harmon. So just to let everyone know that as well. And I'm having some issues trying to get Leo his invite here. And the screen is up here again, and it's sticking. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. All right, now we're back in order here. I'm trying to get this invite out to Leo, Scott, so we're get him on the air.
That's all right, Ralph. You work through it. We'll talk sports. No big deal.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So I'm working on trying to get him on. So I don't know what it is, but this when I put him on, the screen sticks, and I can't get it back to to get the thing into the yeah, exactly. Sorry that had to happen here. All right, Scott Morganroth, the co-host here and executive producer of the show. If you have any things you want to add to the show, any topics or anything, just get a hold of Scott. Scott, how can they get a hold of you if they're interested in any topics, or if anyone wants to come on the show that has a podcast or something and a good social media following? Go ahead, Scott.
Well, a few different ways. If you want to reach out to me via X, you can do so by following us at Tribune South. It's Tribune South. Just look up South Florida Tribune. You'll see a logo with a palm tree and a T on there, and that's us. Please follow us there. You can also reach us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. My Candy will make sure I get those messages. She'll forward them, and I'll examine them, and the invite will go out. So any topic ideas people can come up with would be gratefully appreciated. So those are a couple different ways. This is a show where we don't need a lot of people to be on it. I can afford to be selective because I want to make sure we have people that know what they're talking about and are passionate about what they're doing. And there's no doubt that we have something that, as we had to rebrand it from a different name, I think it's caught on because it's all about sports news anyways, and being able to educate, inform, and go from there. So we have a lot of things going on in the world of sports, and I'm sure that we'll be able to get them as well. Of course, I'll be working on a new book probably later this year. But my first one, Lessons from the Microphone, is a book I really enjoyed, and now I'm looking to expand upon that as the year goes on. So I have a lot of things that I'm working on. Candy and I hope to get back to Marlins games, which we're hoping to do pretty soon. But we have so much stuff we're trying to catch up on between the NCAA Women's Final Four, and we're still working on a lot of good Super Bowl content, which is going up a lot. And you go to Super Bowl, you talk about Halloween. It's like, my goodness, this is not. This is it's a trick or treat. No, there's no trick or treat. It's nothing but treat when you go to a Super Bowl. And we were able to amass a lot of good videos that can also be seen on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, please do it. All you have to do is hit the red subscribe button, do it, and bingo. You'll have access to all the content that goes on. The last count, we had over 1,600 videos that were growing, and a lot of our shows that we're converting to will have shorts on them on the live broadcast only. So there's a lot of room for growth and participation on everybody's end. So glad to have my company, the South Florida Tribune, popping up on here. Good morning to Candy,
Yes,
who
good morning.
obviously runs everything there. And we encourage everybody else to join us as time goes on. But we really busy sports week. We had the NFL draft coming on. Let's not forget Major League Baseball still going on right now. I have the hockey playoffs, the NBA playoffs. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about next week, Wednesday night's edition of the Sports Exchange, we're going to update the hockey playoffs. I wanted to wait till after the first round and some of these series were closed out before I prematurely went into it. Last Wednesday, we had other bigger storylines that we had. We touched on hockey, but next Wednesday night and on the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network, aka South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, we'll have a lot more involved with hockey and a lot of other sports as well.
All right. Okay, Scott. Thank you. Scott's, like I said, the executive producer. It's great to have him handling the executive producer. But here we are. Here's Scott's book, Lessons from the Microphone. Go out and get it. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and with his publisher. Great book, 45 years in the media business. I have a copy, and I love every minute of it. It's some great knowledge if you really are looking to get into broadcasting. I mean, I'm telling you, you got to really get this book out there. George Eichhorn's in there. Go out and get his books, too. He's got some great books that he talks about Detroit broadcasting and a whole bunch of things as well. And he's associated with the South Florida Tribune. We are on the South Florida Tribune Network, as well as Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter X platforms, and also we are on the Huddle Sports Network. And real soon, as soon as I get the contract done and out to me, signed, we will be on the Oracle Radio Network as well. And also, this show will be uploaded starting in about a week on the Sports Vival website, which is JT Toth, who we've had on this program several times. Scott, let's get started. What are your thoughts on the NFL draft? Let's get started with that first.
A couple of interesting surprises. Travis Hunter was a move that I'm glad that the Jaguars ended up getting. I really am glad. And I think what's good about it is nobody saw it coming. And I think that's the biggest thing that I can tell you right now is that when you see moves that don't come, I think that adds a lot of intrigue to it. So hopefully, of course, I'm not surprised at the amount of trades that you've seen in the second round involving teams going back and forth. But I think one of the biggest surprises was watching Dillon Gabriel selected by the Browns. I mean, you wonder.
Yes.
I think it's a great move for Cleveland. They needed a quarterback, and when you have a guy that amasses over 18,000 yards like he does, it's unbelievable. But there's going to be a lot of interesting storylines throughout the draft. And we talked about the hype with Shedeur Sanders, which I know we're going to get into a little bit later, but let's not kid yourself. Many years ago, Deion Sanders, when he was drafted, said, "Oh, you're going to draft me, you better put me on layaway." Whereas
Right.
Shedeur Sanders is concerned, you'd be looking to find him at the dollar store.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, Scott. And, I was at a draft party on Thursday for Draft Nation because I was a sponsor as well. And I thought the Steelers were going to take him. I really did. I says, oh,
Right.
you know what? I heard all this. But then there's a reporter here, a prominent reporter for the Post-Gazette. His name's Jerry Dulac. He's been doing it for a long, long time. And he came out and said that the Steelers have zero interest in Shedeur Sanders. And I couldn't understand that. I said, but now come to find out that there was some things that the Steelers really didn't like about Shedeur Sanders when he came in here to interview. I just, I don't know if he's rubbing everybody the wrong way. I said to my wife last night, I think he's walking around telling everybody my dad's Deion Sanders, and I think it's rubbing people the wrong way. What do you think?
That's hard for me to speculate. Let's face it, he hadn't been drafted in the first 3 rounds, but at some point or another, a team's going to take a chance on him. How many times have you seen guys that now they go to the 4th round, me, end up becoming good quarterbacks? I mean, Dak Prescott obviously is one of them. Here's Leo. Welcome to my Tampa buddy. Hey, by the way, Leo, did you get everything that I emailed you? What do you think about it?
That was interesting. Yeah. Tampa legends, Jackie Eisenhower and Leo Haggerty. Appreciate that.
No problem. It was a lot of fun out there. So, well, since you just joined the show, I'm glad you popped in at the right time.
Well, I had to go in back door through you.
What's that?
I had to go in back door through you sending me.
It doesn't matter. I'll take care. I always got your back, Haggerty. Don't worry about it, Ralph. Leave it alone. That's all. We don't have to worry about that. But let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. He's a very interesting bird. You can find good quarterbacks, by the way, in the 4th round. It's not a big deal. The bottom line is you're going to get him at the dollar store. That's all. Instead of having to worry about what's that,
Leo?
I truly believe that his last name is anything but Sanders. He's off the board by now. And I talked to Troy Odegaard, and Ralph, how about Troy Odegaard hitting the Indianapolis pick right on the head with Tyler Warren?
Yes, exactly.
But I do believe that teams do not want that circus that's going to surround Shedeur Sanders showing up, because every press conference, and Scott, you know it, Ralph, you know it,
right?
If he's backup quarterback, which he probably will be, every press conference after a loss will start, when is Shedeur playing? I don't think teams want that. And that's a shame, because the kid, they're saying that the biggest problem he had is he holds on to the ball too long. My brother Tom brought that to the forefront with Caleb Williams, and look what happened there. He's just been, right now, because of what Jaden Daniels has done, Caleb Williams is the biggest bust in the draft right now.
You really think that? Well, let me tell you. Hold on, Ralph. The one thing I can tell you about young quarterbacks, especially in their first couple of years, is they generally do hold on to the ball a little bit too long. Why do they do that? Number one, maybe their offensive line isn't very good, which is nowadays you have to start building on the offensive line. I remember years ago when the Lions drafted Penei Sewell. He wasn't the wide receiver that everybody was looking to get there, but the Lions were smart. We're going to build on the offensive line, make sure the guys got ample protection, and then the quarterback develops a little more confidence in the pocket. He's not going to get nailed for 70 some odd sacks a year. So, Caleb Williams, to me, I don't know if I go bust status on him. I think he's underperformed. But remember this, Leo, when he came over from USC, he entered the draft with an 8-5 record, so there showed a degree of regression in that second year is what it did. And then you add him to the Chicago Bears, a team which is an absolute mess. Your coaching situation is in flux. And then you had to go out there and pay, $13 million to go out there and bring in Ben Johnson? Well, we'll see how that works out. Now, keep in mind that if we want to really, and I know we're going to talk about this later, talk about draft busts, I don't really determine them in the first couple of years. And the reason why I don't do that is because some guys take a little bit longer to come around. So let me elaborate on my point, Leo, if you don't mind. And I'm going to ask you a straight question, okay, Leo? Do you think Jim Plunkett was ever a bust?
No. And again,
why?
With quarterbacks, Scott, I agree with you. look at the ones that are great. They all sat and saw the game before they had to play the game. Tom
Exactly.
Brady, right? Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, all these guys, Patrick Mahomes, they sat and saw the speed of the game. The biggest problem Caleb Williams had was he was so protected at USC in terms of I can sit there and I can go to my first, my second, my third progression. That's not happening in the NFL. So they had to reteach him 1, 2, 3, throw. 1, 2, 3, throw. The problem was a lot of times it was 1, 2 and getting hit because
Exactly.
the Bears' offensive line. And explain to me why the Bears took a tight end in the first round. They need help on the offensive line so much it screams that. So plus they pick a tight end whose next block he throws, Loveland, will be his first. Tyler Warren was the guy they should have taken. He's a complete tight end.
I agree. Hey, Ralph, let's go to one of Joshua Door's comments. I think it's a really good one. I'm going to tell you which one we're going to put up there. Brian
sorry.
Pettit says, good morning on the road to Talladega for the NASCAR race. I love Talladega. I enjoyed my time covering. I want to go to Joshua's comment, though. And this is what we're going to go with. So here. So, Leo,
Hold on. I see it here. I got it.
Bolts or Panthers winning the series? Let me go ahead and answer that, Leo, before I ask you to ask. After what the Panthers did in Tampa, I thought this was going to be a longer series. I can't see this game going any longer than 5. I think the Panthers are going to easily cruise and move on to the second round. I think it's a foregone conclusion. You can't. Tampa could not win at least one game at that arena. You think it's going to get any easier in Sunrise? I say no. I think the Panthers will make it a series.
Florida's got the right idea on how to play the Lightning.
Right.
And that is as soon as Kucherov touches the puck, they go after him.
Right.
They make him give it up. They don't give him time and space. And they've done that for 2 years. I think what's going to be interesting is if Markov can play, because that's a big out for Florida. And again, Florida dominated the first one, 3 power play goals. They got a 1-0 win basically in Tampa. Tampa's got to show up, and they got to show up on offense. The fact that they were having 3 or 4 really good chances and can't cash in. I mean, points got a breakaway, and you got to get those to come in. And I'll tell you what, Ralph and Scott, this may be over in 4. If they lose today, stick a fork in the Lightning. They're done.
Leo, I was being nice if I said 5. I do believe it's going to be 4 too. But let me also preface another thing, okay? And that's this. Growing up and covering the bad boys, the Detroit Pistons had some tough obstacles to get through the Boston Celtics, and they ultimately broke through. For years, the Lightning had the Panthers number, and obviously the Panthers figured them out, and now they're playing elite hockey, and Tampa's playing formidable hockey, so there comes a point where you have to go out there and get past your demons is really what it happens. And when you get past your demons and you figure them out, that's a sign of a mature team. I can tell you right now, I don't think the Florida Panthers have a large window left as their players become aging, but they're in win now mode. They really are. And if you have that win now mode, you have to cash in.
And you know what, guys? We can compare this to basically what happened with the Buccaneers and the Eagles. For so long, the Buccaneers could not beat the Eagles, especially on the road.
Right.
Finally, when they won the Super Bowl, they went up and shut down the vet with the interception by Rondé Barber, which may be the greatest play in Buccaneer history.
Right.
And then all of a sudden things started to flip. But the thing is, with any sport, there's always a team that can beat you. And the year the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, God love them, but they didn't have to play the Saints in the playoffs because the Saints had their number. Florida was the worst matchup for Tampa Bay because they kind of have the Bolts number right now. And I tell you what, give Florida credit. they go after Kucherov and they rough him up as much as the referee allows. And this is what amazes me. You've got one of the top 3 or 4 players in the National Hockey League, and he gets no respect from the referees. I mean, they let teams just beat him up. And I don't know if he's made somebody mad, but the fact you wouldn't be able to do that to McKinnon. You wouldn't be able to do that to Alex Ovechkin and get away with it. Why can't you get away with it, Kucherov? Just kind of let's call the game, ref. But you know what? If I'm Florida, I'm going to hit him and hit him and hit him some more till somebody raises their hand and blows the whistle.
So let me add another situation to this, Ralph. I'm sure you're enjoying all this knowledge with Leo and I. Many years ago, when the Detroit Pistons had to face Rick Pitino and New York Nets, they couldn't beat him because Pitino trapped them all day long, and they beat him 4-0 in the series. Now, get this. Enter a year later. Stu Jackson takes over as coach of the New York Knicks, and the Pistons dominated them big time. The reason why the Pistons were able to make it to the finals and win it all is because the Chicago Bulls and Jordan knocked out the Knicks, so they didn't have to play them, or Detroit would have been out. Now, moves the clock forward a year later, right? Pistons had no problem with Stu Jackson. He totally ran an entirely different system than Pitino, and it was an entirely different matchup a year later. And that's the type of system. Anytime you run into a systematic situation, then it's about the matchup. Either you're going to match up well or you're not. And in this particular case, you validated my point anyway, Leo, because, beat up Kucherov, and what do you have? Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know exactly what the Panthers got out of that Seth Jones trade. I really don't, other than a big contract that you wonder if it's going to be worth anything. And Chicago got their goaltender out of the future with Spencer Knight. But you have to make those trades. I'm still wondering about their goaltending situation going long term, because I think that we know that Sergei Bobrovsky is probably down to maybe 1 or 2 years left anyway. So, which now puts them in that win now mode is what you have. I think Spencer Knight's going to be a stud in Chicago. I really do. I'm waiting to see what the actual return is going to be on Seth Jones. And not only that, something bigger than the trade deadline is when you have a guy like Matt Tkachuk. Okay, you have all this little rest here, and now he's coming back like a trade line acquisition. He's playing at a high level, has been rested, and he's out obviously making noise from the get-go. I think Brad Marchand is a bust. I really do.
You know what, Scott? I'm going to take you to the worst matchup ever.
Okay.
The Detroit Red Wings and the Philadelphia Flyers in the Stanley Cup Final. And that's when Scotty Bowman had that left wing lock down to a science.
Yeah.
Everybody's picking the Flyers. I mean, in like 5 or 6. Detroit shut them out in 4 because the Flyers had no idea how to get the daggone puck out of their zone, because they saw that all Philadelphia did was go up the left wing. Well, the defenseman stepped up, locked down that left wing. Now they got no way. And I'll tell you what, it was watching a buttermilk because Philadelphia had no answer.
Well, let me ask you a question, Leah. You ever heard of Mike Vernon?
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? He's pretty good.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Did he win? Let me ask you.
Absolutely.
Did he win a Stanley Cup with Calgary, right?
Yeah.
All right, and he won one in Detroit. Guess what? He's a great goaltender. Why do I bring that up? All you have to do is have a great goaltender standing on his heels to win in the Stanley Cup. You can do all this other business about beating the daylights out of each other. Have a great goaltender. Seriously, really serious. Oh, my head's run the other way. And they'll carry you to the finals.
Yes.
That's how it is. You got a guy who's doing cartwheels, making saves. Like, to me, it's just unbelievable. I can't do cartwheels. My goodness. I mean, I'm already suffering from my 4th concussion in 3 years. If I do anything airborne, it better be on one of those things called a trampoline, because otherwise I'm bound to have another one. But with all due respect, the reality of the situation, you better have a great goaltender. And right now, Sergei Bobrovsky has been playing exceptional hockey for the last several years. A big contract, by the way, that they've added from Columbus, and he paid some dividends in Florida. We already know his number is going to get retired. And since he's got a cup in his pocket, I don't know if they're going to get a second one this year. But the fact that he's had an incredible run, taking this franchise to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals merits it as own. I'll tell you one thing, Sergei Bobrovsky is going to have a comment with Roberto Luongo. His number will be retired at Merit Bank Arena.
You know what, guys? I'm going to throw this out at you. I'm probably wrong, but since 2020, 20, 21, 22, 23, in the last 5 years, there's been a Florida team in the Stanley Cup final.
Yes, there has. Yeah, between the Lightning and the Panthers, absolutely. Yes.
Well, here's the deal. You're not wrong. Here's what happened with Florida, okay? Add Bill Zito. Ever heard of Albert Einstein? At the last I heard, he was a genius, right? Bill Zito's been a one-man show. Here, think about what the Panthers have done the last few years. It was a shame to see Joel Quenneville, who had built the nucleus of this team, and I covered him that one year during COVID. Joel did a good job. It was unfortunate his Pats caught up with him. They bring in Andrew Brunette, did a good job, and certainly earned the head full-time gig. But the Panthers are smart enough to know we need a veteran to get us over the hump. And at that time, Paul Maurice had retired from Winnipeg, right? And said, you want to come down here? Guess what? There's no state income tax. But forget that. We have a pretty good team here. And what do you think Paul Maurice has done? He's worn the Einstein cap. So he's done a good job. He's refreshed. He has a lot more tools. And more importantly, he has more money to work with here in South Florida than he did up in Winnipeg. And he's done a really nice job. So recently, I think he hit the 915 win mark, which passed Barry Trotz's third on the all-time list. That says a lot about Maurice, but the biggest thing he has over Dan Marino, he's won a championship. Oh, I had to take my Dan Marino shot. And I apologize for nothing. No way. Sorry, Danny. Paul.
All right.
You know what?
All right, guys.
Ralph, before you go on, how bad is the NFL draft that we've gone to almost 30 minutes and haven't even talked about it? That's how the whole hum is.
Well, we were talking about it at the beginning and we got into hockey. So,
hey, Ralph, one thing I'm going to teach you about journalism, brother, and I think Leo can attest to it too. We got all these other topics. If I get more engagement in the chat room on something that's a hot topic, the other stuff, we'll figure it in there. It's not about that. When you have a quality topic like a great goaltender, you roll with it. Right, Leo?
That's right. That's right. Okay.
As we used to call in the teaching profession, a teachable moment. Go ahead, Ralph. Pay some bills, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta pay some bills, man. All right, Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, our studio sponsor, 724-2010-500. Summer's coming. Get your air conditioner looked at and call Mata, 724-2010-500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Keystone Coachworks. Look, I'm handicapped. I'm in a wheelchair. I made my life better by going to Keystone Coachworks and getting a wheelchair accessible van. Make your life better. Go to Keystone Coachworks, Library Road, Bethel Park, 412-833-1900. Go there, call, talk to Don, tell Don Ralph Williams sent you, and he'll set you up with the right van. He'll custom fit it for you the way you want it. And also, there's financing available as well, and also warranty available as well on your vehicle. Keystone Coachworks. All right. Okay, let's get back into the show here, guys.
Flash my book
real quick. We have Rick Schrum watching. I'm sorry?
Put my book up there again for those.
I will. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
There you go. That way you'll understand where all this, and I know Leo's got me on the hook to already put him in the other one. But I threw him a bone putting him in a story that I ended up putting. That'll be his. When I write a story on you, Mr. Haggerty, that's one half your way into the next book, just so you know. So just so you know that when I write a story on you, as far as I'm concerned, that's an end. Now, I obviously have to see what I can do this summer and then put all the pieces together when I go out there and outline it, as my wife and I plan on going to Europe probably this summer a little bit.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, we are. We're working on the initial stages of it, and mark my word, I don't plan to pack heavily anyway. So there you go. But that was one of your tickets in there. Why do you think I sent it to you? I figured the easiest thing I could do with the two of you and Jackie Eisenhower. I can't write one. I'll combine both of you and then put the videos in there and the pictures. We had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Had a great time.
And yeah, now we're on the hook for a live show over at Black Rock in Tampa. That's for sure. Our buddy Craig Picard out there will feed us, and I'm hoping you're going to use those cards.
We were already out there already. Trace Crisp and I, we went out there. My IT guy, took him and his wife out there. Great meal as usual. And
did you see
Steve
Craig?
Was our waiter.
All right, guys.
Did you see Craig?
He wasn't there, no.
That's okay. You keep going there. Don't worry.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
go ahead,
guys.
Ralph. I'm glad to steal your thunder. We're just trying to keep it real and energetic with 3 people. See, do I mind 4 people? No, but I like the 3 of us. Seriously, really, seriously. Look at this. Experience and energy.
Yeah, you got it. All right. Rick Schrum is watching, steady watcher here on Facebook. Thank you, Rick, for watching. And also, if you want to have any comments either on Facebook or YouTube, if they're part of the topic of the show, we will put it up as well. All right, real quick, guys, let's get back to the draft just briefly here. I want to put up a statement here by Stephen A. Smith. Here it is. Okay, read this state. It says, someone just text me with a message that that they're absolutely correct. That look for the NFL in this in the feels like Kasperzak all level kind of collusion. All right, Colin Kaepernick. What do you guys think of this statement by Stephen A. Smith? And I know sometimes he can get a little intense with some things. We'll start with you, Leo. Your thoughts on that statement?
You knew it was coming. It was just a matter of who was going to bring it. But again, I just don't think that the team wants the media circus that it's going to get bringing in Shedeur Sanders, because now all of a sudden they got dad with them too. Somebody's going to take the kid eventually.
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a team with an established NFL franchise quarterback. Don't be surprised if the Bucs don't look at this if he's around in the 4th or 5th round, because now you got Baker Mayfield. Shedeur's not playing. I don't care. Maybe Philadelphia. Shedeur's not playing. And that's what needs to happen. He needs to come in and he needs to learn what the NFL game is. Again, the speed is just off the chart when it comes to that. And Scott, you and I know we were able to get on the field, now 5-6 years ago, the NFL banned us from the field. But we were able to get down there that last 6 minutes and actually see how fast the game is.
No kidding.
Michael Vick. And again, I'm going to equate this to Michael Vick. Somebody had to take a shot at him. And it was Philadelphia eventually took back into the league. Somebody's going to take a shot at Shedeur. But the speed of the game is just, people cannot understand that. And, you throw a kid in there, Heath Schuler is a perfect example. Steve Spurrier threw that kid in and it ruined it. That's what I'm afraid of with Caleb Williams. He may have been ruined with last year, because Ron Jaworski preaches to us. What a quarterback hates is color in his face. Look what the Eagles did with Carter and Davis. They made Patrick Mahomes look pedestrian, because now he's got to look at the rush. Edge rusher's great. That's supplementary. You drop a guy with a different color jersey in a quarterback's face, he's going to have a long day. And that's exactly what happened.
So, D-Lows, it was good having you on while we talked hockey, but we have other sports. But considering we bumped into this one here about the Lightning and the Panthers, it was a natural thing to talk about. We'll have more conversation about that series on Wednesday's edition of the Sports Exchange at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. As for the Shedeur Sanders thing, I've actually grown to like Stephen A. Smith a lot, and I was fortunate to take a picture with him over at the Super Bowl. And I've watched his show every day because I'm always learning something. And like you, Leo, I'm a student of this business. If I can pick up from anybody from afar, I will do it. Here's the situation with this. I don't know if I go to the extreme with Kaepernick, although I understand it. I think that might be taking it a little bit too long. But remember, Leo, when Deion Sanders came out, you need to put me on layaway because you can't afford me? Okay, well, guess what? You weren't on at that time when I mentioned initially. we could go ahead and get Shedeur Sanders at the dollar store, or is it the
Yeah, I
$1.25
heard
store?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Okay. Well, now I'm reinforcing it because now I get feedback anyway. But here's what you got, though. All right, he's dropping. Dak Prescott fell to the floor. Somebody's going to grab him. But here's the thing that I would love to see out of Shedeur Sanders if he's open to it and take a page out of Travis Hunter. Maybe he should be a slash Cordell Stewart type of guy and be a multi-dimensional player as a quarterback and maybe a option as a wide receiver. He's not too big to be a tight end, but be a double. He's able to play two positions as well. He's got the athleticism to do it, and as long as he's a weapon and a decoy, nowadays there's always way for any type of coaching staff to incorporate him in other ways. Again, I don't buy into conspiracy theories. And is Deion Sanders? I'm not ready to go there yet.
Yeah.
Because one thing we don't know is what the intense evaluation process really is in determining a quarterback. Are they looking for that pocket passer that Shedeur Sanders probably isn't? I don't know. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Dylan Gabriel is going to end up being, to me, the steal of this draft for the Cleveland Browns. Just you watch with those numbers there, and he's not going to have to do anything right away. And I think another thing about the Cleveland Browns, this organization showed a shrewd side by making that trip, by making that move to Jacksonville, by obtaining a couple of draft choices in the first round, because they're already setting themselves to move on from Deshaun Watson. And yet Jacksonville gets a player that can play two ways. And I think what's going to happen there is you're going to see more of Travis Hunter as a wide receiver at the beginning because Trevor Lawrence needs help, and they'll start incorporating packages on the defensive side. You don't want Travis Hunter to have 1,300 hits or his career is be done after 3-5 years. You got to be smart. But here's the thing. You got Liam Cohen there. You got James Gladstone. You have a new regime. They're all young. I think the oldest one of the group is 42. And Shad Khan's the most patient owner on the planet. Anything he's going to do is an upgrade over what he went over. So I think the best way I can describe this draft so far, there's been a lot of intrigue. I know we'll probably get way more involved at next Saturday's edition of Sports Wrap.
Yes.
All we can do is take a few basic nuggets out of it because we still have another day. But the one name I want you guys to pay attention to on day 3 is Xavier Restrepo. Here's a guy that amassed more yards.
From Miami, yeah.
Right. And I asked Daniel Jeremiah, Leo, and Ralph that, where do you think Xavier Restrepo? He's a tough evaluation because the speed was a little above 4.4, but the guy can catch the ball. He's a slot receiver. And the thing that makes him, and he catches the ball and his yards after the catch are good. Now, personally, if I was hoping he'd go anywhere, most people would think, I want him to go to the Detroit Lions. No, I'd like to see him being reunited with Cam Ward in Tennessee. That's where I think he goes because you already had the built-in chemistry with the Titans with Cam Ward. Now, again, we all know what can happen on day 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. So anything's possible in this draft. And the biggest thing that we look for on a day like this, and I covered the draft last year in Detroit. It was great. I enjoyed the experience, is hidden gems. This is how you fill out the back end of your roster from 45 until 53. And another thing that I'm going to be having in the next couple of weeks on Inside the Pigskin is I got a guy with the United Football League that I'm going to go out there and be bringing on, Leo. What'll be good about him is some of the carryover players that don't get drafted. We'll see which ones ultimately sign, which ones aren't. And then let's not lose sight of the fact that in the next couple of days, watch the undrafted free agents get signed.
Yeah. You know what, guys? When's the last time we said Cleveland did something right in the draft? And they did.
Yeah, there you go.
They traded out because Travis Hunter would have been great for them, but they had more holes to fill.
Exactly.
They traded out and they got the guy they wanted. They got the guy they wanted. They're going to put this guy next to Garrett. Their defense may be elite right now, that front four. But when we look at Shedeur Sanders, there's 3 words that everybody asks. Can he play? And here's the thing. whether this guy can play or not, you complete 70% of your passes in college? That's unheard of. Why is this turning off so many franchises when you got guys who went above him that aren't even in the upper 60s? He's completed 10% more of his passes than most quarterbacks that went ahead of him. Again, I'm going to go back to that circus that it's going to bring. Let me throw this out at you guys. Any chance he'll go back to college?
Yeah, it could happen. You know,
makes you wonder a little bit.
With the way the NCAA,
Colorado offers him $5 million to come back, and he's not going to make that with a 4th or 5th, 6th or 7th round pick. That'd be
with the way the NCAA is now, Leo, I wouldn't doubt it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're out of control to begin with, but he might go back to college. You never know. I mean, things can happen. You know, if that's what's best for him, you know, it's not a bad idea. I mean, you know, but we'll see what happens there. Also, don't forget this afternoon, 2 to 3 p.m., excuse me, on AM 1250, The Answer, 92.5 on the FM dial, the Sports Corner radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudio Rosano, and Luther Dupree. And I want to congratulate Claudio Rosano. He's the head coach of Carnegie Mellon University baseball. His team is the #1 team in their division, and he's moved up from number 6 to number 4 in the NCAA Division III baseball rankings. Congratulations, Claudio Rosano. So I just want to see Carnegie Mellon University baseball team. Also, once again, I want to send my condolences out to the family of Derek Harmon, our #1 draft pick. His mother passed away. He talked to his mother to let her know that he got drafted by the Steelers, and about an hour or two later after that, she passed. So, yeah, exactly. So I want to send my condolences out to the family of Derek Harmon, our #1 draft pick. Let's talk just brief a little bit.
Well, let me add one other thing to what Leo said. When you look at the draft board for the Cleveland Browns, how many players have they drafted in the state of Ohio, including the
they're going to save on travel time.
Wow, but that's beyond that. You got a lot of good players in the state of Ohio. I think they got a guy from Ball State too. So you have familiarity. You have Ohio State that doesn't hurt, and of course, I think they even drafted a guy from Michigan, if I remember right. So, you know, so the Big Ten landing in Ohio, there'll be some interesting situations to me that'll come out of this draft that will certainly give us a lot more hay to work with next week. But you know, Browns are staying in the state of Ohio. There's a lot of good players in that state, and I'm glad that Cleveland's been able to take advantage of some of those players and keep them in that respective state and see if they can, if it works out well with them.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, I forget who it was. I think it was Charles Davis or somebody on the NFL Network last night made that joke. They said, Cleveland's going to save on travel expenses.
Well, not only that, I think, when you talk about Ohio schools, let's not lose sight of the fact that Bowling Green is a pretty good school out there, only they don't get the attention in the MAC. And we all know about Ohio State, and the list goes on and on. So,
Bowling Green's always in bowl games. They've played Pitt a few times. So I understand, you know, Bowling Green, one of the better teams in the MAC conference as well. Let's talk real quick about Steve McMichael, passed away this week. You know, Steve McMichael was a really good football player, and I know him more because I follow wrestling. He was involved in WCW with the Four Horsemen, one of the best factions in wrestling. And I know we don't talk wrestling here, but I am because of Steve McMichael. They used to call him Steve Mongo McMichael. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so he was involved in that as well. And he was pretty decent as a wrestler. And the good news for him was he was able to wrestle with the best. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and all those guys that were in the
Tully Blanchard.
Yeah, Tully Blanchard. Yes, exactly. So with that, let's talk about Steve McMichael real quick here before we move on to our next topic. We'll start with you, Scott. Go ahead, Steve McMichael.
Well, the reality is I'm glad that he ended up getting in the Hall of Fame while he was still alive.
Yes,
year.
Absolutely.
I'm glad the NFL made extra provisions to see the bus transported over to the Chicago area and that he was able to appreciate it. And his wife, Misty, went out there and made her presence felt all over Canton. The guy certainly deserved to be in there, but I'm always glad that He wasn't inducted posthumously. I'm glad he was able to see his moment and enjoy it. We know he was a huge part of that 1985 Super Bowl championship. That's all there is to it, and his legend lives on. And amazingly enough, as I see the deterioration with how much hair he had to where he ultimately wound up. In fact, one of my colleagues, Jacob Christopher, told me when he was at his peak, he was weighing 285, and by the time the end hit, it was like $120. I mean, it's just sad. But the reality of the situation, ALS is a disease that absolutely stinks. And if you haven't been able to see how bad it is on the regression of a body, it's another thing. I still always send daily prayers to Steve Gleason. Steve Gleason to me is an inspiration to the people in New Orleans. But let's not kid yourself. Chicago has a legend. I think the way the NFL and the Bears handled it collectively was nothing short of outstanding. It really was. And rest in peace, Steve. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah. Also, I want to send my condolences out to his family as well for his death this week. But at least, like you said, Scott, he was alive. He was alive to go into the Hall of Fame, and that was good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well point.
So, right, Leo, go ahead with your thoughts. Steve McMichael.
You know what, guys? Arguably, that could be the best 11 players on defense ever to suit up in the NFL with that Bears team. I mean, you look at what they had on defense. My Lord, that was like it's just phenomenal. Dent, McMichael, Marshall,
William Refrigerator Perry.
Singletary.
Yeah.
I mean, this is phenomenal that they were able to put together that group. And all McMichael did was make everybody better. Those guys in the secondary, Leslie Frazier and that, they didn't have to worry about covering guys for 3 or 4 seconds because that front four was getting there. And they basically shut people down. I think the only game where they shut out the Rams, I think, in the playoff game, and then they just destroyed New England in the Super Bowl. But, and we didn't even talk about the Fridge yet. He's in there. I mean, this is, and, God rest his soul. He got a chance to get into the Hall of Fame while he was still alive. But sadly, fellas, he's in a better place. He's no more pain. And guys, I got to drop this real quick. We lost one of our amped up sports guys Tuesday. Coach Pat Chinquinteri, who does soccer and covers the Saints for us.
Oh, get out of here. I had him on my show.
I know
wow.
He
my gosh.
Tuesday.
My condolences to his family. Wow.
He had stomach cancer. He went the end of March, wasn't feeling good, went in. He had stage 4 stomach cancer, went in 3 weeks. And it was just, none of us knew. Mikey Simsack calls me and says, hey, I just talked to his sister and Coach G passed. I said, what? And I mean, we've had him on the show, Ralph. And, again, rest in peace, Coach G.
Yes.
All right, well, let me add one layer to the Chicago story. And I think Mike Ditka would admit it to this day. The one regret he had to have is why did I not get the touchdown versus Refrigerator Perry? Mike Ditka, I've never met him. I don't really care. I've seen his on-air demeanor. Doesn't mean anything to me. But how on earth, Mike, could you have not let Walter Payton score that touchdown over Refrigerator Perry?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
Walter
all
Payton's
I can say.
Big-time legend, and, exactly.
And as far as the Bears only lost to the Miami Dolphins, the Dolphins want to defend that undefeated streak, and they came out like gangbusters. We know Dan Marino obviously felt like he never made it to a Super Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised if he felt that's the biggest game of his career because he never got sniffed it again after he lost his one and only time there. So I guess if you're looking for a big moment outside of the postseason, at least being able to preserve the Dolphins' undefeated season against the Bears, who subsequently crushed anybody after, that's one thing. But again, getting back on my point, Mike, everybody on the planet knows, I'm sure he's thinking about it a lot these days too. I hear he's not even the best of health. He knows that Walter Payton should have gotten that touchdown, not William Refrigerator Perry. All to me is Perry was a heck of a defensive player, no question about it, but he was a full hero and the NFL needed. a folk hero. And everybody sits there and talks about Jim McMahon. I loved him. I mean, with all these quarterbacks that you can actually say, wear a headband talking about Commissioner Pete Rozelle. I love Jim McMahon. I don't care. You need more guys like him out there. And if he had a headband with Roger Goodell on it versus Pete Rozelle, who's as old school as anybody, Goodell would laugh at it. That's how much different these two commissioners are.
Yeah.
Where Rozelle,
exactly.
quite like it, but it's okay.
All
Chicago
right,
Bears folklore, everybody.
All right, we got to pay a couple bills here real quick, and then we're going to go into our My Town because we've been talking. I wanted to get in real quick here. We're going to get into this NFL Global Market Program real fast here before we
Well, if you're
end the
referring
show
to
here.
bus, what I would do is wait till next
The
week.
bus. Yeah, that's right. Art Schleister.
Yeah.
Let's get started with that.
Well,
Or do you want to wait till next week, Scott?
Well, what I would do is this. We'll talk about Art Schleister by himself today, and then we'll incorporate it next week when we can compile a few more. Is that fair enough? Art
That's
Schleister,
fair, and then I'll have another bum next week. So, or not bum, another bust, NFL bust. Player,
right. Well, I don't think we could come up with a few next week, but let's keep the focus on Art Schleister. Yeah. I don't know how many people in this audience even know about him anyways, but the guy played out of Ohio State.
I know.
And he was a gambling man that got himself in a lot of trouble and turned out to be a bust for the Baltimore Colts. Yes, once upon a time, people, the Colts played in Baltimore.
Yes, they did. They did. Let's start with you, Leo. Art Schleister.
Never saw a bet he didn't like, right, guys?
Exactly.
Yeah, I tell you, if anybody had a gambling addiction, it was him. And you know,
he tried to resurrect his career in arena football. I saw him in arena football when we used to have the Pittsburgh Gladiators. He came to town a few times. I forget what team he played for, but he was in the Arena Football League trying to resurrect his career. Of course, that's what Tommy Maddox did too. So, Scott, do you have anything you want to add more about Art Schleister?
Yeah. Well, how on earth are you out of your mind? How do you compare Tommy Maddox versus Art Schleister?
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh no! Wait! Don't interrupt me. Okay, I'm going to designate you as a bum for that comment. You can't. At least the one thing about Tommy Maddox is he didn't go ahead and gamble.
No, he
Art
didn't.
Schleister, like Leo just pointed out, you're talking a gambling man who got blown out of every league. I even look at Denny McClain as more credible than Art Schleister because at least Denny went on to go out there and did well actually after his baseball career in the media once he got illegal stuff for. But Art Schleister wasn't even salvageable. He wasn't even salvageable anywhere. So you know what?
He tried to resurrect his career in arena football. I'll say he tried.
Big deal.
That's,
he might as well do it in Canadian Football League. In fact, I'll even take it a step further. You might as well put him in the Iceland Football League. That way, nobody will ever hear about him. Ever heard of the Iceland Football League? Because that's what they'll do. I'm just saying. I mean, we'll come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, I'm fueled, as Leo will tell you, I'm fueled by my caffeine, right? You got to taste of it over a black rock. That fuels me, people. But you fuel me because you even have the guts to even go out there and mention Tommy Maddox and Art Schleister.
No, I was trying to say about how Tommy Maddox resurrected his career. Art Schleister tried. I said he tried.
Yeah, but how on earth do you even put them in the same sentence? That's all I'm calling you out on. You don't put Tommy. Listen, I got nothing against Tommy Maddox, even though I like the guy.
He's selling insurance now, by the way, guys.
Well, that's not bad. I mean, if you can earn a good living doing it and build off your name. But you can't even, wait a minute, Ralph. I'm the executive producer. You cannot, that's a law, ever put Tommy Maddox and Art Schleister in the same sentence again. Don't do it.
I will not do that, Scott.
Good man. See, like I said, this is a coachable moment, right, Leo?
It is.
Coachable moment.
All right. Okay, Next week, we're going to talk about another NFL bust, DeMarcus Russell, next week. So DeMarcus Russell, what a bust he was. We'll talk about him next week as we have our series about NFL draft busts. So DeMarcus Russell next week, what a bust he was. All right, let's get into our My Town. Start with you, Scott, My Town.
I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going on in this neck of the woods. The Florida Panthers are on the verge of blowing out the Tampa Bay Lightning in about 4 games. I don't think there's a whole lot to say. But I'm going to tell you another thing, though, and I'm going to be throwing a little teaser out here. We have some good college basketball coaches in this area. And one of the guys that doesn't get a lot of publicity, guess what? He coaches at Nova University. I'm not going to get into the name, but I will be mentioning him on future shows. Fair enough.
Yes, there you go.
And he's built an incredible legacy coach in Division II basketball at Nova, and that's a powerhouse. But I'm not going to divulge his name because it gives you a reason to tune in the next edition of the Sports Wrap.
There you go. That's the mystery for next week.
That's it.
Leo, you're my town.
Well, we got USF spring game tonight at 6 o'clock out at Corbett Stadium. The little on-campus soiree for the Bulls. The Lightning are down in Sunrise today, and then Monday for games 3 and 4. Hopefully there's a game 5 back here Wednesday, but it may be tough. The Rays just took 2 out of 3 from Arizona. Now they're heading to San Diego for 3 with the Padres, who are just on fire. Then they're back here to play the Royals in a 3-game set back at Steinbrenner Field. The Bucks just waiting. And you know what, guys? This draft was a perfect example of teams trusting their board. Because when you are in a non-playoff position to pick, you've got to get a starter. You've got to get that guy who's going to start for you, that Cam Ward, that Hunter. You got the Graham. You got to get those guys. Now, look at what the Bucks did and what the Eagles did and those teams that were in the playoffs. They had the ability to pick depth, take the best player on the board. Did the Bucks need a wide receiver? No. But they have a roster that's playoff tested. Did the Eagles need a linebacker who may not be able to play till October? No. But they had the luxury of having, as Ken Podolak told us yesterday, a roster that is Super Bowl quality right now.
Let me tell you what the Bucks did drafting those wide receivers was nothing short of brilliant. There's nothing wrong with having depth at that position. And did we ever heard the word called special teams? Where do those
absolutely.
wide receivers generally go at the beginning? Special teams. Then they step up in the event of an injury. When you're a good team and your goal at that point is let's just go up there and come up with the best available player. And that's exactly what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
More power to them. There's a reason why they're the best Florida team after the turn of the century. They seem to get it right. And they've won 2 Super Bowls in this century. The last time the Miami Dolphins won a playoff game, people, was in 2000. Go figure. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, we'll see what happens down the road.
Yeah.
And the last thing happening in my town is we got the Rowdies and the Tampa Bay Sun, the men's and women's soccer team. They're going to play this weekend.
There you go.
Yeah, we got the Riverhounds and the Riveteers playing this weekend. The Riveteers are our new women's soccer team. They're playing as well. Leo, thanks for reminding me about soccer. Anyway, my town. Steelers drafted Derek Harmon, first round. I was at this draft party on Thursday night, and I said they were going to draft Shadir Sanders, and I was wrong. And I will admit I was wrong. When I'm wrong, I admit I'm wrong. Okay. Jerry Dulac from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette said that the Steelers didn't want anything to do with Shadir Sanders, and I kind of said, well, come on. I mean, the guy's there. We're at 21. Let's take him. Let's go with it. And Jerry was right, and he's been covering the Steelers for over 30 years, and so he was right about that, and I was wrong. But anyway, we got Khalid Johnson, which I was right about. I did say that we should take Khalid Johnson from Iowa. He's a good bruising running back, and I think Iowa always produces good tight ends. They always produce good running backs, and they always produce good defensive players as well. Kurt Ferentz has that team. He always has that team competitive, and they always have great athletes that come out of there as well. So we'll see where the Steelers go in the 4, 5, 6, and 7th rounds. I'm hearing Leonard from Notre Dame that they're looking at him, and we'll see where that goes. Tyler Slow from Louisville, he already is gone. Steelers were going to look at him. and also Jalen Milroe is gone as well. So we'll see where the Steelers go with quarterback in this draft. They have some other needs they got to take care of. They still got to get at least one more defensive lineman. Our defensive line is decimated pretty much. We got a few guys in there. Dean Lowry, Loudermilk stinks. And, we got a few of the guys who just, are in there to be in there. And, so we'll see what happens.
So, Ralph,
Hayward needs some help, so go ahead, Scott.
I wouldn't beat yourself up over being wrong about Shedeur Sanders. They didn't want him in the third round.
Well, yeah, that's what Jerry
everybody's
said.
wrong about them.
I didn't believe it.
Listen, there's time to eat crow and there's time not to eat crow. And this is one time I'm being nice to you, okay? Don't eat crow over this because we're all look like idiots, right, Leo?
Yeah.
I mean, who would have expected this guy to be available in day 3? Who knows? If the Rays go, you might be an undrafted free agent for all I know.
Right. Well, you know what? The Steelers still might sign him as an undrafted free agent. We don't know that. I mean, technically, But
I wouldn't even have a guess.
Guys, if he goes undrafted, he's going back to college.
Yeah.
But isn't he out of eligibility?
No, not even close. In fact, get real quick, guys. I know we're running out. How about all these guys that have played 4 years of basketball that are in the portal? Because there's an issue where the NCAA is going to give them 5 years to play. It's crazy. You got guys that have completed their 4 years. They're in the portal because they think they may get another year. And that goes back to COVID when they gave them that extra year.
Right.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. I know a guy named John Hoogley, and John Hoogley has played for 5 teams in 5 years. He played for Pitt for 1 year, and then he went on to move on to 4 other teams. And he just signed with another one. Well, this one makes 5. So there you go, Leo. That's a classic example right there of guys doing that. So,
it's a classic example of the NCAA being out of control.
Terrible.
Teaching me about that one. I didn't even know about that. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
It boggles me day to day. And you think I'm going to go out there and master this stuff, don't hold your breath, because then I'll feel like I've already had a 5th concussion. I'm already trying to get to my 4th. And I'm not here to brag about it, but the reality of the situation. And I will say this while we have another minute or 2 to go. Leo was a big help to me when I got upset with myself because I was losing some memory issues. And Leo said, don't be too hard on yourself. Because he knows that I was getting really upset about this whole thing. And I was like, what the heck is the matter with me? No, you're okay. That's when I got a guy like you who's got my back. Of course, we make sure we have his steak, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I have your back too, Scott. So just to let you know.
And I'll tell you what, when the baked potato is bigger than the steak, you know it's a big time restaurant.
Yeah, no, don't worry. We have more work to do out there, anyways.
Absolutely.
What we ended up doing was we just hit the tip of the iceberg.
All right, Ralph, take us out, big boy.
I want to thank everybody in the comments section for their comments today, especially South Florida Tribune, Brian Pettit, and several others. Including Josh, who always blows 22, Cyberuski, and the rest of the gang. That all we appreciate your comments as always, and continue to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and also don't forget I'm also on Twitter. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and I'm also on Blue Sky. You can follow me there too as well, and I'm also on Tumblr and some other platforms. Don't forget, coming up at 2:00 this afternoon, Sports Corner Radio Show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. All right, how can everybody get a hold of you? Go ahead, Scott. We'll start with you.
Well, website www.southfloridatribune.com, as I alluded to before, on Twitter /X at Tribune South, and our email address is southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel as well. Biggest thing is Ralph is going to put my book up there one more time. It's a good read for anybody that's breaking into the business, and those individuals that are not only breaking into the business, but I'm starting to find more and more people are getting it for that reason. If you don't know anything about the business, this is a book. I will be working on the second part of it later on this year. So great stuff. Lessons from the microphone, my first book, and I'm only going to write more, and that's the second one. That's all I can probably put out.
Yeah, I recommend this for anyone that's like in college and you're taking up broadcasting. Take a look at this book. It'll help you advance yourself a little bit. and the understanding of broadcasting, because I think a lot of people don't understand broadcasting, as much as we do, because we're in it.
The only thing I'm going to say to close out this show, and I really feel strongly about it, and I want to make sure that Leo's on here. Just goes to show you how this show went fast with just the three of us, didn't it?
Yes.
How do you like the look of it? Just the three of us, Leo.
I love it.
What about you,
Good, Leo?
Mo, Larry, and Curly, the Three Stooges.
That's all we need, man. With a lot of knowledge, a lot of
There you go,
information,
Leo.
and a lot of energy. No, I think this was fantastic. Show all the way around, and of course, kudos to you addressing the chat room. When you get Josh and the guys involved with hockey, it's good. But these guys were really on point with some of the stuff they put in there, so it was easy to continue the dialogue. But yeah, three of us. Not to say we won't have other guests, but I'll tell you something. I'm fine with this trio. That's good stuff. That's all I have.
You got it.
All right, Ralph.
Leo, how can people get a hold of you?
Amped Up Sports. Go to Amped Up Sports on YouTube, Facebook. You'll see it. I put up a daily post. Ralph, take us out, big boy.
And last thing, rest in peace, your Amp Sports guy.
Yeah, Coach G.
Yes, absolutely, Coach G, man. I'm devastated because I've had him on my show a couple times to talk about the Saints, and oh my gosh, wow. Yeah. But at least he's resting in peace now, so that's good.
Yeah.
So all right, guys. For Scott Morganroth, the executive producer of the show, thank you, Scott, for all the hard work you do to make this show good. And for Leo Haggerty, I'm Ralph Williams, your host. Until next Saturday, have yourself a safe week, and God bless. Thank you. All right, Scott, there we are.
We're still
are you
live.
There?
Yeah, we're still live.
Oh, yeah. Hold on a minute. Let me push the end button here. Wow. I didn't realize we were still live. There we go.